So, if you are serious about growing your production and building a business that doesn't stop when you do, then these weekly mastermind drops are going to be for you. I'm going to pull back the curtain on exactly what's working right now for top agents across the country. So, let's get to work.
All right, welcome everybody here. We are here today for our Get More Transaction Tuesday, and we have a super awesome guest today, Miss Jessica Tammaro. Jessica and I have known each other for a few years now. We actually did a deal together several years ago, and then during that transaction, we ended up talking EXP, and she made a move over at that point to EXP. Here's the amazing thing about Jessica. Like when we met, she was a school teacher. And so she had been a school teacher for many years. She had been in real estate also for what, you can talk more to this, Jessica, in a second, but for 2 or 3 years. And when she came over to EXP and she started doing well, we had some conversations because she was afraid to let go of her teaching job. She had the benefits, all of that, and she was afraid to let that go. And we had some conversations, and I'm sure she talked to a lot of people, but ultimately she let that go. And so today she's a 5-time icon here with EXP. She has 11 listings right now. And so she is a rock star. She has a lot of Airbnbs. As you can see, she's sitting out on their houseboat right now. She said, I said, are you trying to stay this week out there? And she was like, we're going to be working on it for the whole month. And she'll drive back and forth, from where they're at. They're only about an hour outside of Middle Tennessee where she lives, but she'll drive back and forth, for appointments as needed. She said, but I'm not letting my clients know, but we're living on the houseboat for the whole month. So how awesome is that? So this is who you get to learn from today. Somebody that goes from part-time in the real estate space to in teaching full-time to Rockstar that I just talked about now. So Jessica, I am so excited to have you today to share just what you're doing and your strategies you're using in the listing space. And so take it away, friend.
All right. Well, hello everybody. Tracy, this weekend is Wake Fest, which I don't know if you guys know what Wake Fest is, but it's out here at Center Hill Lake, and there's like hundreds of surf boats that come and tie up, and houseboats. They put mooring balls out there and we rent. So like we're in the old people row. The houseboat row is the old people row, and we just kind of like sit up there and float. And then we've got the wake surfing boats that get all beat up. We don't bring ours out for that, but the younger crowd, they do that, and our bathing suits look different. but I'm saying that because we're all wearing muumuus, Tracy. It's one of our friends' birthdays, and we all ordered different, like really obnoxious muumuus, and we're gonna surprise them. So
Team Mumu, Team Mumu.
Yeah, so Tracy was saying she has on a muumuu, which hers is much nicer than the ones we're gonna be wearing. But anyway, so Center Hill Lake, I do sell out here. It's about 2 hours east of Nashville. And I am in the short-term rental market. My Nashville properties are down a little bit. My Center Hill properties are up. So I've got one under contract out here now, and we are going back and forth. Tyler's gone getting signs and doing lock boxes for me today, and then I'm going to be driving into Nashville. But we are trying to spend most of the month here, which is awesome. It's our first time to really be able to do that. But anyway, let's talk listings. And Kathy did say I have 15 listings right now. Some of those are under contract. Some of them, I just listed one this morning. And then I do have, just like all of us, I have lost a couple listings. So I had one withdraw over the weekend. They're just going to live in theirs for a little while longer. Their daughters are not quite ready for school age. They want to move back to their hometown in Jackson, Tennessee, and their house is just not moving. So it's not all, rainbows right now with listings, as you all know. And that's what I want to talk about a little bit. I'm also in some different coaching groups. I'm addicted to learning. I'm an educator at heart. So I'm trying to keep up with everything that's happening right now in our market. And all the markets really across the US. So I don't know if you guys realize, but 30% of listings right now are having a price reduction before selling. So, and 30% of homes last year didn't sell. So those are really, really important stats to write down. So write down that 30% so you can tell your clients, that are listing that we need to price it right. And we also, you need to make the house perfect. HGTV is out there. People are expecting model homes whenever they're buying, and those houses need to be perfect. You've got to be spending your money on professional photography. We'll talk open houses. Don't cringe. I know some of you guys don't like them, but open houses do boost you in the algorithm on Zillow. And as you know, most of the people are finding the homes on Zillow and then telling their agents about it. I got a list last night. No matter how many times I tell my clients, like, just use RealTracks, here's your login, here's all this. I get a list of 12 houses all on Zillow and I have to go match them up. You guys know how that is. But you want to be boosted on Zillow. So even if you're not getting anybody at your open house, it doesn't mean that the open house didn't boost you and get more eyes on your listing. So that's one thing. We'll just go into that right now. So I do not have slides prepared. I have a 4-year-old. We're out here. It's been crazy. So anyway, with open houses, I'm getting a ton of people in my open houses. So when you do your open houses, you've heard Jay say this before, 24 to 40 signs. Not kidding. You don't want to put that many out. Just put 2. Put 2 instead of where you would put 1, put 2 signs. Most of my traffic comes from my signs on my open houses. And every open house I've done, my ratio is 1 to 1. So for every open house I do, I get another deal. It might be that I didn't get anything from 2, but then I get 3 different deals from 1 open house. Either the people take home my card or my buyer kit. I do a buyer survival kit. So I have the nice boxes. I don't have any with me, but I have the nice boxes. I have like little tape measures, a pen, my pins. I've got little pads of paper, and I call it my buyer survival kit, and I keep those at the open house. So if somebody comes in and they're not represented, I say, come back to me whenever you're done looking, and I have a gift for you. And they take those and they love those. And then I get calls back. But also on your open houses, make sure that you're putting those on Facebook public events, because people in the area, those will pop up on their Facebook. So I'm sure you guys have been on Facebook and you've seen, oh, there's a fireworks show or a concert or whatever going on. The open houses will pop up as public events. So, people will see those. I also do postcards. I do neighbor letters. So you can drop neighbor letters off and just say, hi, I'm Jessica. I'm introducing myself. You might see a little bit more traffic in the neighborhood. We hope it's quick. I'm going to try to get this sold as quickly as I can. Wanted to introduce myself. Also, whenever you're putting up those signs, I have a special letter for the yards near where the signs go. So I put, I'm Jessica. I put a sign near your yard. I think it's in the public right away, but if you don't want it here, just text me. Here's my number, or even better, come by the open house, pick your neighbor, all of that. I like nosy neighbors. Nosy neighbors bring buyers. Nosy neighbors want people in the neighborhood that they know. So I like whenever I get buyers in. So I'm not the agent that says, oh, it was just a neighbor. No, it was neighbors that came in, and that's awesome. So because they're either bringing people in or they're going to sell and they're meeting you. So, I tell my clients all of this, like my open houses. I have a bounce house. I don't use it very often, but I do have it. I also set up outside if the weather's good, and I have a like sparkly tablecloth, and I have signs that say like free snacks or free dog treats, free coffee, things like that. Just letting all the neighbors, I have my open house signs. Some of them say neighbors welcome, because sometimes people don't want to be that nosy neighbor. So all of those things will help you like have a fantastic open house and get that traffic in and just start a little bit of buzz. Also, let's talk about your yard signs. Make your yard signs beautiful. I don't know, I guess they're 6-foot posts maybe. And I have the lights on them. I get everything from Amazon, except for the sign itself. And just last night, when one of my clients called because my husband went and put up the sign, and she said, oh my gosh, my neighbor's house is for sale and your sign is awesome because your sign's all lit up. And my neighbor came over and said, well, I wish my sign had a light, So do those things. Those are the things that your clients notice and they love. I do have a VA that does my my social media. So she actually just watches and knows when I have another listing. And like she messaged me yesterday and said, I saw you had a closing, congratulations. And she made all my social media stuff. So if you need contacts for that, I have that as well. But your clients love it. So do the things that your clients love, and that will get you more business. Let's talk pricing for a minute, because that's the hardest piece right now is talking to the clients about pricing. You know, we've heard it. The buyers think it's 2008. The sellers think it's 2020. And that's so true. And so we're having to have those discussions right now. My houses, I have some that I call, they're as stale as prison crackers, like they are not moving. And those are the ones that are overpriced or they're not perfect. So what we have to do in those cases is we either have to drop the price drastically, or we need to go in and change the condition of the house. Kathy preaches that all the time. It's location, condition, or price. I also do think it's some marketing, but mostly it is location, condition, and price. So what's really interesting is houses are sitting on the market longer. We're having these price reductions, but the average price of the home has gone up about 0.5% throughout the nation. So why is that? Well, some people say it's a pricing problem because we're not pricing them correctly to begin with. I think it's because the houses that are selling are perfect. So the houses that, you know, may have sold for 500 before, without the new paint, without the new carpet, without, you know, the new shutters, whatever, those houses are sitting, and the houses that have those things done are selling, and they're selling for 505 maybe, or they're selling for 500 instead of, you know, 490. So that's why I think we're seeing a little bit of a price increase, is because not as many homes are selling, but the ones that are selling are the more perfect homes. Do you guys agree with that? Feel free to type in the chat if that's the same thing that you all are seeing. I'm just looking in the chat. I don't see any comments yet. But
I definitely agree with that. You know, I think you've got to be, you know, that's what I tell my clients, you got to be the shiny penny, right? And you've got to be priced right. Because those are the ones like you're talking about that I'm seeing selling, right? If you're trying to be, you know, too high and you don't have your home looking great, then there's more inventory. We all know that. And so those are the ones that are going to sell first, not yours. And then you end up chasing the market down in pricing, I feel like.
Yeah. And it's very weird. I mean, I keep calling it a wackadoodle market because I don't know another way to describe it. Like, I've had some that have gone into multiples. I had one in an area that I thought we would struggle with. And it went into multiples above asking, past full inspection, just like 2020, 2021. Sorry, let me call him back. But the house was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. It was an architect's home, and he did everything that we asked him to do. So whenever you're having those conversations with your clients, be careful pulling comps. I feel like we have to comp differently than we have had to in the past. Now, I've been an agent since 2017, so I was not an agent during the downturn. I had a home during the downturn. And I panicked a little bit and called my dad a liar because he told me to buy a house and then it went down in value. And I told him I had, you know, lost this money. And he said, you don't lose anything until you sell. And he was right, because I ended up 1031 keeping that house till it came back, and 1031 exchanging it, 1031 exchanging it again, and got one of my lake houses out here. Now I have a Florida condo that I owner finance from that owner, and my balloon's up, and nobody will lend on that complex. Nobody. Condos right now are really tough, but I'm able to take the equity out of the house that my college house paid for, basically, to be able to just pay for the Florida condos. So, you know, still not ideal to take a HELOC on an investment property. Those rates are not fun, but you know, it's doing its work. So keep that in mind, you know, when people are saying that they've, hang on just a second, my in-laws are headed out. Are y'all out?
Yes.
Okay, love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
We've had my mom just came in, so this is just real life mom work balance here. But anyway, tell your clients that are panicking, like if you truly have a client that they want to sell and their home is worth less. I don't know how many of you guys, right now I have 2 listings that I had the buyers. They're both investment properties, but the buyers paid more than what we have them listed for right now because they bought in the last 5 years, and it's not fun. That is not a fun place to be. I don't ever want to be here again. I'm being very, very careful with my investors on where they buy and really trying to help them. So I'm never in this position again because I take it personally and I hate it for them. But keep in mind that they have options. So they can turn it into a rental. And one of my listings I have right now, that's what they did. They pulled it and they're going to lease it out for a couple years, and then we're going to relist because I told them it's time or money right now. And they're at a $1 million price point, which is a really hard price point right now. And they had remodeled the home and they're just going to turn it into a rental. They don't want to, but that's what we're going to do. And that's okay. Have those conversations. I know we all want our listings and we all want that paycheck, but that's going to pay off more in the long run because they trust me because I was honest with them. And that's what we're in the business for. Another thing talking about that is I've realized how many homes I need to sell a year to just, to get by, to make my family comfortable. And I'm not talking about, this year we're going to have a really, really good year. And that's not the number I'm talking about. I'm talking about the number that I need to sell to keep food on the table, to keep our payments paid. If we need to sell a toy or whatever, we can. But if you guys think about that number, then you can really come at this industry from an abundance mindset. So, when we see people coming into the market, I don't panic. I don't panic when I see another agent that's picking up, I see Tracy on here. Tracy's doing Atlanta and Nashville. I don't panic about that. My number's 20 houses. I sell 20 houses. I'm good. I think most of us could agree with that, right? It could be 10. It could be, how many houses are selling in Nashville a year? Thousands and thousands and thousands. There's plenty of space for all of us. And there's plenty of space for one of our clients to back off and rent their house because that's the best thing for them. And another thing is that's a strategy for your listings, guys, because if somebody's got a 2% rate or a 3% rate and they're like, I can never move because I can't give up my rate. They don't have to move. They don't have to give up that rate. They can turn that house into a rental house. They can use that extra payment, that extra cash flow to buy their next house. Now you've turned them into an investor, and then their next house might be an investment. Their next house might be an investment. Their next house might be an investment. And I know that this is a listings class and you're not getting listings that way, but you're getting buyers. And they'll eventually turn into listings, or they'll refer you to listings. So go out with that mindset of like, okay, I have a solution. Go on your Facebook today and say, I have a solution where you don't have to give up your rate. And teach them that they can turn it into, a long-term rental or a midterm rental and buy other properties with that. And that way they're not living in a house that doesn't work for them. How many of us are seeing houses right now when we're out showing that they do not work for the family? We're seeing dining rooms as bedrooms. I've seen it. We're seeing dining rooms as playrooms. We're seeing dining rooms as offices. Those houses do not work for those families. And we have people in our sphere right now that their houses are not working for them. And so if we did want to turn those houses into listings, we can also talk about rate buy downs. Rate buy downs are not just the 2-1 buy downs. I just got Lennar Homes. I just sold a Lennar home, just so all of you know. They spent $55,000 for my client to buy the rate down to 4.5% for 30 years. And this was last week. So we don't even close. That house is being built. We don't even close until October. So talk to your new construction. So now you can list their house and they're still getting into a brand new home with a great rate. So, just really, really have those conversations and think. And what I'm talking about is not, these are not like far-fetched ideas. This is all stuff that's happening right now. So,
talk about that just a little bit more, and I'd love to hear anybody else that's doing this. So Are any of y'all doing 2-1 buy down instead of price reductions on your listings? Offering that? No. So again, kind of let's talk through this a little bit. So if you talk to your lender, right? I've got a listing right now for so we'll say 650, it's 649 something, but 650. And I talked to the lender the other day because I was debating, do I want to have them offer an incentive to buy the rate down, or do I want to have them, do a price reduction? So the day that he quoted this, I said, as soon as somebody's got decent credit, like, decent, not excellent, just, your average credit. And we did a rate buy down, and the seller offered to pay for that. What would it cost to do a 2-1 buy down for that? And it was right at 15,000. So I calculated what the rate, if somebody got a 2% less rate for the first year, because that's what that means, that 2-1 buy down, they get 2% less the first year, they get 1% less the second year, then the third year and beyond, they're at what the market rate is at that point. And so when I calculated that, it was on this listing of $650,000 with 5% down. It was $750 a month savings to the buyer for year one by getting a 2% less rate. It's $450 for the second year in their payment. And then it's just the standard rate that I think when they do the 2-1 buy down, they get today's rate on year 3 and beyond, right? But the first 2 years, they're getting a lot less. And what are buyers most sensitive with? It's payment, right? So imagine if you have a $650,000 house, if you reduce your house by 15K, it's going to make, what, $60, $70 a month less in their payment, a buyer's payment, versus $750 in that first year. So for me, I think of offering 2-1 buy down strategies versus a price reduction is just a different angle to consider when you have listings that you're trying to get sold. So get with your lender if you're ever going to consider a price reduction instead. And there's a 1-1 buy down, like you can do it for a year, not two, a 2-1. And ask your lender, what would it cost my seller today? And we know rates can fluctuate every day, and so a little bit, and the cost of X rate could fluctuate. So I tell my seller, and we're offering this now. We just did it this week, and we got 2 showings this week when I put that, because I said special finance, and you really can't advertise all those details in the public remarks, but I put special financing if a contract is received by July 31st, because I wanted to put some time on that, and some urgency. And so we got 2 showings this week right after I made that, change on it. And then the private remarks, I put in there, sellers willing to pay, up to 15K for a 2-1 buy down. And so just a thought, just another strategy when you have homes that are sitting there.
Yeah, and you definitely can use that whenever you guys have a deal under contract and then they're like, oh, we didn't realize our payment was going to be that much.
Mm-hmm.
Then go in and be like, oh, okay, well, would they do it? Maybe we increase the price of the house, but it decreases that payment so that the seller's still paying, the seller's still netting, your seller's still netting the same, but you didn't lose the deal. You just saved it. And you got the people a lower payment for 3 years or 2 years or whatever it is. So use those strategies. And let's talk about lenders for a minute. This is kind of my soapbox, and I'm sorry, but you guys need to be meeting with lenders. And if you guys don't have a credit union and a local bank on your list of preferred lenders, you are doing your clients a disservice. I'm sorry. The credit unions and the banks aren't coming to us with a lot of, lunch and learns and a lot of things like that, but their rates are knocking the pants off of some of these lenders right now. So you guys need to make sure on your preferred lender list that you don't just have a preferred lender, that you also have a credit union and that you have a local bank. Ascend Credit Union in Nashville is doing 102% no PMI for first time buyers. So when you get a non-warrantable condo, they're covering that. So I can take a non-warrantable condo in Nashville and I can bring a buyer in at 0 down, 102% conventional loan with no PMI.
Now
Also,
again, think about how do you spin that, knowing that program's out there, and find out, like she's talking about, what is in your local market, with different credit unions, different banks, like what are some things that they have to offer, and then how can you take that knowledge for your listings and spin it to make it more attractive to a particular buyer.
yes, and I have one at Avenue West in Nashville. It's non-warrantable. I put that in my listing, and guess what is in every other listing there now? Every one of those agents called me and they said, how are you doing this? Who's doing this? I said, Bank of Tennessee is doing it. Ascend Credit Union is doing it. Almost every local bank has private money that doesn't go through Fannie. It doesn't go through Freddie. You don't need 3% down. That's a myth. If you think you need 3% down to buy a home, a first home, that's a myth. Go to your local banks. Almost all of them do 0% down, but you're not hearing about it because they don't have the funds to get in front of agents and to get in front of brokers like our lenders do. And their lending fees are like $800, $900. I just sold one of my houses this week. The agent brought in somebody from their FHA. Their fees were $11,000 on FHA. I know that those people could have gone to one of my local banks and gotten in with an $800 or $900 fee, had a better rate, and had no PMI. So make sure and put it in your listings. That will help your listing sell. When you go in and you say, I have a 102% program, you don't even have to have money for a down payment. It's also saving your seller because now your seller doesn't have to even cover closing costs because they're paying their own closing costs in the loan product. So make sure today, when you get off this call or go by your local credit union and your local bank and see what they have for first-time buyers. You guys are going to be really, really impressed. Then you go to social media and you share that. And now you're the expert on that. And you become the expert on first-time buyers. I love first-time buyers. People know me and love me because they know I want to help women buy their first homes. But my average price point is like $700,000 because people know that I want to help people, but they want to work with me because they know where my heart is and they know my passion for real estate. So I'm not always working with first-time buyers. I'm working with some really, really wealthy buyers right now, but it all started because of my heart for getting teachers into homes. And that's still my favorite client to work with. And my $1 million clients know that. They know that my favorite is still those first time buyers. That's my favorite. That fills my heart. They fill my bank account, so just put that into your listings, put those things in there. One more thing, I wanted to go back to the open houses for just a second. The themed open houses, think about how you can do those in a way that, so you just have to sit down and think about it. Sometimes I had a listing in my hometown and it was a commercial building and there was a Christmas parade at night. So I bought a box. So I did my open house during the Christmas parade, right? Because it's a little downtown building. It's really cool and funky. And I bought those like the little foam glow sticks. I'm on Starlink, so I'm sorry if I stall, but they're the foam glow sticks that light up. So during the Christmas parade, people are coming into my open house. They're leaving with the glow sticks. Now everybody wants the glow sticks. I had like 54 people in my open house. So, think about that too with your open houses because they're more fun that way. We also had Mrs. Claus there, so you could do pictures with Mrs. Claus. Same thing with the broker opens, it's taking more than donuts and champagne to get people into broker opens. I'm sure you guys are seeing that now. So do the headshots or do something fun. Social media trainings. You guys could do a training like this, do a listings training, take some notes and go share. All the agents are wanting information on listings right now. So do something like that at your broker opens and get people in there. Invite other agents in and do like a panel or, if you have an agent that, sells a ton, invite them to be on your panel and then they'll invite their friends and, you just think. All right. Also, let's talk. Pre-listing really quickly. You guys want to make sure that the repairs are done, the updates are done, neutral colors, decluttering. You guys know all this stuff. Absolutely professional photography. That's a non-negotiable.
100%.
All right. I know I spend way too much on my listings. I'm trying to pare that down. I know last year my average listing cost me $3,205, which is way too much. Do not do that. Just, I did way too much last year. But there's ways you do need to know what your average listing costs you and say that in your meetings with your clients. Like my average listing cost me X amount because I do the professional photography, but I also do the marketing and I do, these different things. And I include the cost of my VA, like all of those things, because that is all part of my marketing. Also guys, get them deep cleaned. There is no reason at all that we should go to any house at any price point and it be dirty right now in this market. So please get them deep cleaned. Either make your client tell them that you're not going to list a house that's not deep cleaned, or you pay for it yourself. But get the houses deep cleaned, because right now dirty houses are not selling. But that's all your pre-listing stuff. The light bulbs need to match. They need to be. I carry light bulbs in my car. Smoke detectors. Make sure that those are up. All the little things. I mean, that's all low-hanging fruit. Make them clean their register, change their vent filter, get a little duster and clean their register. Like you want the house to look like it's been maintained.
Jessica, do you get pre-inspections done? Like, do you get a pre-home inspection done on the front end?
I have before, and I don't think that that's a bad idea. You do have to disclose everything, but I have a pre-inspection checklist. And guys, a lot of this stuff you guys can get on, use AI. Let's talk AI just for like 3 minutes. Use AI. So say, print me a pre-inspection checklist for my buyer in, Brentwood or whatever. And it'll print out a pre-inspection checklist. You can have it divided by rooms or whatever. Also, I use it for your avatar. So I have a home coming, on Windmont Boulevard in Nashville. It's going to be listed at 970. Who's my buyer? And you could take that to your listing appointment, and your people are going to be impressed because you already know who's going to buy the house, and that's who you market to. Then you ask AI, like, create an 8-week marketing plan for this buyer. What's that going to look like? What groups are you going to, what Facebook groups do you need to be advertising in? Things like that. So use AI to your advantage as well with your listings, because that is going to help, and you're going to know pretty quickly. You can also say, what are my average days on market? Like all of those general questions that you can look up in the MLS, you can also typically ask AI, and they'll come pretty close. If I'm about to go out to an event, I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me about the market. Like I just went to a charity auction in Crossville. I was like, tell me about the market in Crossville. And then I had at least some, this is my average days on market. This is my average price point. This is what's going on in Crossville. This is what's coming soon, things like that. So as far as like, they're getting like a really cool racetrack. It's like a golf community, but with NASCAR. So like you pull out of your garage in your NASCAR car onto tracks. So like, that's cool. So everybody's talking about that in Crossville. So I wanted to be able to like, know, okay, when is this opening? What's going on there? How many houses are they building there? So that I knew, kind of what to talk about. But you guys can do that in 5 minutes or less. You do it in the car on the way. That's going to help you like be the expert, hopefully, and get more listings as well. So whenever we're getting our listings ready, so like, let's think about this in 4 segments. So we have our pre-listing, right? And then we have our ready to go, like we're ready to go. And then we have our pricing, which is, that's the hardest piece for me. I hate pricing homes. It's probably the most important part of our job, but I hate it. And putting out signs. I don't like that either. And then the marketing piece. So let's talk about getting ready to go. So we've got our photos. You want to make sure you take your photos at the right time of day, and make sure that you like your photos. So if you have the paid version of ChatGPT, it'll do things to your photos for you. I don't know if you know that. Now we've got to be careful, because almost all of the professional photographers, they do not want us staging their photos. It's in our contracts with them that you're not supposed to modify. Now, so be aware of that, but I do it. Like, I was like, I could see cords under the bed. So I was like, add a bed skirt to this bed. It looked awesome, or take the car out of the yard. So ChatGPT does those things for free, just so you guys know. So I go through every photo. I make sure I don't like anything red or yellow in my photos. Reds and yellows are very bright. Think about McDonald's. There's a reason that they're red and yellow. You know, the shower curtains I do half back with the hardware showing, which is the opposite of how most of us get into the shower. I make sure that like all the trash cans, the plungers, like all of that stuff is out of the way. Rugs on floors look really bad. I don't like towels. Some people like towels. I don't like towels. I don't think they look good in pictures. So I pull all the towels. I see Tracy shaking her head. So, you know, each picture to me is like super important, but you can like on Chat GPT too, you can add baskets. So like if you have a picture of a laundry closet and it's got like all the detergents at the top, and of course they're yellow, I'll say just put all that stuff in baskets for me on Chat GPT, and it does it. So you know, it takes a little while. Chat's a little bit slow for me. But it, you know, you can really get in and do your pictures. And if you don't like a picture, don't use it. If you don't like the picture of the laundry room, don't put it in there. We have probably everybody assumes there's a laundry room unless it's like a little condo. So if you don't like the picture of, you know, the garage, don't put it on there. If you have the garage doors, everybody pretty much knows what a garage looks like. So, you know, or an attic space or things like that. So, or if they have a walk-in attic and it's messy, just have Chat GPT clean it up. Say, hey, make this like look like a cool storage area. So all of those things will be super helpful for you. And if you have like, I've had 2 times in the last couple months where I've had to ask the photographer to go back out and do exterior pictures because of shading, because of the shadows of the trees. So just, you know, it takes, even I'm still learning like right now, like what time of day I need pictures based on where the house sits facing the sun. So, you know, and then those times change throughout the year. So if your pictures aren't fantastic, especially that exterior one, then just, you know, have your photographer go back out. And then another thing is I'm using the collage pictures. So sometimes I'll put like 3 pictures in one. Like if there's a community pool, I'll put the house and the community pool and then like an interior picture or a sunroom, like all in one picture. So I don't know if we're supposed to do that. I did learn you're not supposed to do text. So like don't put every MLS is different, but like I put a text in there like owner financing at 5%, and then I was like, I better check on that. And sure enough, it was not allowed. So, but you can put that in your text, you know, but that in your description, but not on the picture. But if you can do a collage picture, why not? Then it looks a lot better. Let's see here.
Do you have your homes who has their homes professionally staged? Anybody? No? What, did we just lose her? She'll
I've
be
never
back.
had it done, but I'm actually about to do it for one of my listings. So I would love to know who you guys use who are closer in the surrounding Middle Tennessee, Nashville area.
I can reach out to me and I'll give you who I use. If it's vacant, I almost always try to get my sellers to stage. At least the main rooms, the living room, the kitchen, the main bedroom, sometimes a secondary bedroom maybe as an office. So I think for sure that, but I've got 2 listings right now that I'm having a challenge selling, and they show well, but in my mind, I know that if I have somebody come in and professionally stage it, put different bedding, you know, like one of them I actually bought some new bedding for because they're a little bit older and so they have more quilts on their bed. And I was like, we need to go like just white comforters with the throw and some pillows. And so I actually bought those for them to put on their their primary bedroom, in their primary bedroom. But I think it's important in this market that we're in, more so than ever, to have your home staged or really show, you know, she's talking about this, like really standing out and showing well. So, anyway, so she must have got kicked off there with her oh, here she comes back. You're back.
I'm back. I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened, but luckily I have 2 computers. So,
Uh-huh.
all right. Kathy, you were talking about professional staging. So, I have yet to professionally stage, and we are doing one. in about 2 weeks. But this is what I do. I do pay for my photographer to virtually stage, and then I blow them up in poster size. So you guys can get poster size prints on Amazon for like, or even Walgreens for like $20. And then I put them in the big poster frames. So I created like a matting for them, and I put them up on easels in the house. And there's a couple reasons I like this. First of all, when they walk in, they can then see the space, and they can also visualize what it would look like staged or while they were in there. But then also, like, I had one that had 2 different bonus rooms. So I put 4 different pictures. Like, this is what it would be as a game room. This is what it would be as a craft room. This is what it would be as a theater. And this is what it would be as an office. So I like that because you can do multiple images on one poster, if that makes sense. Or you could even really do 4 different posters and really make it like a gallery. So, but I just haven't found the right stager. And I've also just started doing tiered compensation. So guys, if you are staging, do the tiered compensation and just charge whatever, 4 apples instead of 3 apples, or however, whatever you guys are doing. But there's nothing wrong with doing changing your compensation packages based on the amount of service that you get, because I also do like American Dream TV, and that's expensive. So like if they want their house on American Dream TV, then their compensation package might be different. Okay. Or not. That's up to you. If it helps you too. So however you want to do that. But that's just an option for you if you're worried about that expense. But you guys do have to be ready to spend some money if you're taking listings. So spend the money on the sign, spend the money on the photography. Hopefully it'll come back to you. If it doesn't, it sucks. I've been there. But you guys will get more listings that way. I also do feature cards. So I don't know if any of you all do feature cards, but the feature cards are the little cards that go around the house. And I try to save them for things that you can't see, like if they have a gutter system, or if they have a radon system, or, if you can't tell if the gas fireplace is gas or wood burning, or if it's both, things like that. So the little feature cards around the house are a really nice touch. So I do those. I just printed those myself. You can create those again. AI can create those for you, and you can just print them on cardstock and fold them in half and put them around the house. So my clients love it. So, and a lot of my people that come into my open houses also like that. So just remember, you want it to look as close to a model home as you can. You want it to be cleaner than everybody else's. And that's easy. Everybody can clean. As far as pricing goes, here's the big thing. And we touched on this a minute ago, but you can't just price the way that we've always comped with like sales from the last 3 months or sales from the last 6 months. That's not the way it is. Your competition is not those sales. Your competition is the current price drops. So you need to be looking at those current price drops and sharing that with your clients. And you need to say like 30% of homes right now are not selling until there's a price reduction. So make sure that you are preparing your seller for that, and that you're also looking at what's currently on the market. I have even gotten my clients in my car and taken them and shown them, or they follow me and show them other houses for sale. And then I comp their houses with them in person at the table, and we comp together and price together. Because then they see the amount of work it takes to price a home, because remember, that's my least favorite piece of all of this, and they are involved. So we just had one over near the airport and in Nashville, and they're all very similar homes. They're all like townhomes, and they all have the same floor plan. And my people wanted to price at $249. They saw it. They saw the ones that were on the market. They saw the condition of them. They decided to, repaint, take out the popcorn ceiling, do new flooring, do new doors, like just kind of like a lipstick, quick, like remodel. And even with that, 2 more have hit at $229. And they told me that we're listing it this week. We're going to be listing at $229. So, because they have been involved in the process and they see what's out there. So definitely whenever you're doing that pricing, because if you guys are priced right, you're going to sell quick, and that's what you want. You want to sell quick, and you want to, get the most that you can so that you're not chasing the market down. And then you want to move on to your next client. So, make sure that they are involved. And I explain that to everybody. Like, this is a, we are working together, and I'm here to help you, but I'm going to need you to help do some work too. And so I almost always price with my clients. And that's something I learned from Jay. So it's been great. But yeah, the recently solds are important, but what's actively on the market is your true competition. So, and right now we're seeing a downward, a little bit of a downward trend. So that's new, and that might be new to your clients too. So just educate them on that. Have conversations with all the agents around you, find out, what has sold or what is active and what's going on, how many showings have they had? Did they pay buyer broker compensation, things like that. And I'm seeing more buyer broker compensation than ever. So, you know, I personally like having the conversations now with my listings because I'm not having to explain X amount of apples divided by, and that covers all the things and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, this is my fee. And then the buyers will write in what their fee is and we can have that discussion at that time. But this is what to expect, So I think it's helped us because it doesn't seem like they're not seeing that great big giant number. And when I do my net sheets, I'm dividing it up. So there's a line for my compensation, and then there's the seller concessions, and that's where the buyer compensation is going. So that's helping that conversation too. So, I think that that's beneficial to all of us. And then on the buyer side, when I'm writing in, I am just writing in what is on my buyer rep. And in most cases, I'm getting that. So that's been really great there. Also, when you're having the conversation with your sellers, you want to explain, like, you want buyer's agents to come in. And if your seller's unwilling to pay the buyer compensation, then that can make the house unattainable for many buyers because they need that compensation built in so that they can use their money for the down payment, which makes the price of the house stay, where the seller wants it. Also, I explain it as without a buyer, there is no transaction at all. So it could also be argued that the buyer is paying everybody. So, that's just a conversation. You can have it the way that you want to have it, but that's the way that I have it with my clients right now. All right. So marketing, which is probably the reason most of us are here. It's expensive. And your clients don't care that you're broke. So don't tell them that you can't afford anything. Is not what they want to hear. They want their house sold, and they want to know that you're doing everything you can to sell it. So create that marketing plan. Again, I do an 8-week marketing plan, and it looks like, our first week is the professional photography, the Facebook groups, all of this. I'm doing my open houses week 2. And I'm telling my people, like, houses are sitting on the market for, 51 days right now. So we can't bring out all our bag of tricks on day 1. And on day 4, we're done. Like, we don't have anything else. So this is what I'm doing by the week, and week 2 is my open house. Week 3 is my MLS blast, because you guys know when we send those emails, it's just like burning $100. They don't, I don't know. I guess they have worked for me, but I still, that's not my favorite strategy, but the clients like it. So that's just, almost in, like I said.
Are you talking about just blasting out like a flyer or something to all the realtors out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if you guys are in an MLS where you can reverse prospect, you guys have a gold mine right there. So just, we don't have reverse prospecting in our MLS. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably because we haven't used it. But in some MLSs, the people are very, very, very fortunate, and they can see which agents list they're on. So like if somebody's looking for a house of 400 in a certain neighborhood and your house is on that list and going out, you get to see which realtor has set that up. So you can contact that realtor and say, hey, did you see this? Which would be awesome. So reverse prospect, if you can, definitely do it. I really, really wish that we had it. But that's really working right now for my agents that are in those markets where the reverse prospecting is possible. And then I'm doing the postcards. I'm Facebook groups for sure. So get in those Facebook groups, the different neighborhood groups that you're allowed to advertise in, mom groups, if it's by a lake, the lake groups, even if you can't necessarily advertise it, like jump into a conversation that kind of maybe spawns that, so that you can share the link. Links are getting hidden now in a lot of groups, so be careful just posting the link. It's best to like make a comment like, oh, I have a house in this area. Or who can tell me, here's one, who can tell me about the neighborhood, apple orchard, and I have a listing coming soon and I don't know anything about the neighborhood. What do you love about it? Or what do you know about it? And then just get the conversation going, and then maybe you can share the link later in the conversation. So Facebook is definitely a place where a lot of buyers are. So what they're finding is like TikTok is great because you can get 1 million views, but there's only a small percentage of buyers maybe. So Facebook is the generation that has the money and has the buyers. So don't be afraid to, to be active on Facebook. And I'm still like getting into Instagram a little bit, but the Facebook has been really, really helpful for me. So sorry, I have a list of different things that I do. I did a buyer letter too. But that would be more for buyers. I sent a buyer letter out to 170, and I got 6 possible listings from that. So, or 6,
Looking for a house in that area.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, that's a good way to prospect for listings. So,
That's true.
I mean, if you've got a legit buyer that's looking in that area, and they've looked at everything, that's a great way to prospect for listings.
Yeah, that's true. So guys, if you do have a buyer for like a certain school district or something like that, just be very specific and don't make it sound like you're, one of the wholesalers or something like that. Like I was like, hey, I was a teacher in this area. This is my first ever buyer letter, but I have a buyer that needs to be in this area. And I had, one lady even wrote back and said, you know what, I'm not even selling my house, but I loved your letter because it was so heartfelt. So, and use ChatGPT to help you write those and get those out there, because that's a great way to get a buyer, some listings as well. Oh, also, did you guys know that you can do a Google alert? So Google alerts are free. So you can put a Google alert out for the address. So you just go set up a Google alert, and then anybody that searches for that address, you guys can see if people are searching for that address. That's just like an extra little thing that you can do to for your sellers as well. And do the QR codes. I do a QR code on my sign writer, and it just takes you to, I use KV Core, or Bold Trail, whatever it is, but that will just take them to, I just use it so it takes them to my listings page, so I don't have to change that QR code, because I'm never going to have, I don't think I'll ever have like 150 listings where they won't be able to find the house that they're looking for. So on my signs, I have a sign writer that says, scan for more information, and people can scan in. It takes them to my listing page. They can find the house and they can type me a message. And I've had 2 different buyers for my listings hit me through that. And then I just set up a showing and let them see the house. So the QR codes have been effective for me. Craigslist is still a thing. So you can advertise on Craigslist if you want. That's just one of the things I put in on like week 5, because again, you want to stretch your marketing out, and I don't want a bunch of like fraudulent stuff, but if I need to go to Craigslist, I will. So, in the marketing guide, I wish I could just share it with you guys, but it came from my coaching group, and I can't just give it away. So because they sell it and it's their information, but some of the stuff I did before. So, that's why I'm saying, like, you guys can create your own marketing plan. You're probably already doing a lot of things. Just create it so that whenever you go to that listing appointment, you're like, here's my 8-week plan, and you can create it with AI as well. Pinterest, a lot of people are getting stuff from Pinterest now. So I haven't gotten that deep into Pinterest, but there are agents that are having great success on Pinterest with advertising and things like that. For a while, you could also put your open houses on Waze, so that people were driving by were seeing it, but that has been suspended now too. And I think that was through HomeSnap. But you can do your home of the week. You could start a home of the week group on Facebook, and then you can share, and other people could share their homes for sale, and like get people interested in your city that way. So I don't know. I'm gonna turn it over to you all and see what other ideas you have, because I always learn from you all on what you're doing for marketing.
Awesome stuff, Jessica. Does anybody have any questions or any like things to add that you are doing for your listings to get them sold in this market that Jessica hasn't covered already?
I don't
You
have
covered it.
anything like that I'm doing specifically because I'm a newer agent and I'm just kind of starting out with EXP. But my house is on the market and I'm trying to sell it. So I'm the client and I'm having a really hard time getting like anybody to come in like we have had. I was actually with my old brokerage, I was a co-listing agent. I'm also going through a divorce, so I removed myself from the entire equation. He wanted to put it with somebody else. He hasn't had any open houses. Um, we had 2 showings last week. Um, I have been actually in communication with the agent that was here the last time. We haven't heard anything from the one before. Um, we also built this house in 2017. My husband was the builder. So when we decided to divorce and put the house on the market, he wanted to price it at $600,000 when it was only comping at 550. So it's been on the market for almost a year, and it hasn't moved. So um, I'm at a point where I don't know what more that we can do, and we just keep steadily like lowering the price. Like I think we're at like 509,000 right now. And then he wants to lower the price again for another $5,000. And I'm just like, oh, our house appraises at 570. So I'm just like nauseous about that. It's just, there's so much stuff. So any insight would be amazing. I can give you the address if anybody wants to look at it on Zillow. I mean, it's got great pictures. We did professional pictures. There's pictures that I personally wouldn't have used to put on. Like he put my closet. I mean, even though it's color coordinated and like it's nice, but like why? I don't know. Any thoughts? Does anybody want the address to look at it? I don't know.
Yes, Jamie, share that address in the comments so that we can look at it. And then also, have you gone back to 0 days on market?
So that is something I don't know. I know that, and maybe we have. I haven't looked. I just got all of my MLS and everything transferred over to EXP. Everything I was doing was still with my old brokerage.
Okay.
But I know that we had taken it off the market for an entire week and then he relisted it. So
Okay.
here is the address.
And for everybody else, the reason I'm asking her that is that's one of the strategies I use, and all of our MLSs are different. I know some of them you have to, if you relist within 30 days, the same address, your days on market continue. In our MLS, if you have a listing expires and you have a new listing, then your days on market start over. And so I'm writing my listing agreements for 90 days, but I'm explaining to my clients, hopefully we don't have to relist, but if we do have to relist, here's the second listing agreement. And I go ahead and have that signed. And I explain to them that so that we're never more than 90 days on market, we roll back over to day one, and then I start my marketing plan all over again. So another open house, all of the same things. But if I do it again. And I know, and we all know that you can look back and see how many days on market a house has been on, but I don't care because I want that fresh look, those fresh eyes, those new buyers on there. And if we do a price reduction, things like that. But I also explain to my buyers, you're going to get calls from agents who work expireds. And I'm like, that's just part of our marketing strategy. So that's my 90-day marketing strategy, is that now you're going to have all the agents that work expireds have their eyes on your listing. They haven't seen it before. Kathy taught me to write in the comments, do not contact my agent. They already have another listing agreement. They don't read that. They call my agent, or they call my clients anyway. I tell my clients, don't hang up on them. Don't be rude. If you don't want to answer your phone, don't answer your phone. But if you do want to talk to them, now there's another set of eyes, and just tell them like, hey, I'm paying a buyer agent compensation. If you have all these buyers that you say you have, bring them to Jessica. She's going to take care of you. I'm glad you saw my listing. So that way your clients are prepared for that on the front end. But that is another one of my listing strategies, is that we do 90 days and then we start over. And it's just so that they, they're stale, but they're not stale, if that makes sense. So, yes, they show up on expireds. And if you look me up, I'm going to have some expired listings, but most of my stuff is selling, and I do have some that hasn't, just like everybody else has. But, that's another strategy. And then Kathy and I were talking earlier too, and I wanted to bring this up. If you're a part-time agent, or you're struggling right now and you've had to pick up like a side hustle, that's okay. I was there. I was the teacher. Okay. And I've had agents tell me like, hey, I'm bartending right now to fill in the space. And I was like, well, don't tell your bartending clients that, if you're allowed to say that you're a realtor at work, let them know like, hey, I'm bartending so I can find clients for real estate because I'm dual career. So dual career is a different mindset. And if you're here on this call and you're learning, you're dual career, you're not part-time. This isn't just a hobby for you. Dual career means you're doing the things that it takes to be successful. And so when you are in a position where you're doing two different careers, then that's what you are. You're dual career if you're doing the work. So just keep that in mind too, because more than ever, people are going to professional agents right now. They're no longer using their brother who got his license 2 weeks ago because they want to get their home sold. So make sure that you are presenting yourself in that way, and that you have that mindset that you're not just part-time. This isn't a side hustle. This isn't a hobby. This is your second career, and you're moving toward that goal, because right now is a really hard time to do that. Let's see here, Jamie, I'm just writing your address down. I will message you, Jamie, after the call and just see if I'm seeing anything that sticks out to me. Also, ordering your pictures, like I'm by no means an expert, guys. So like anything that you guys want to add in here, I learned so much from these calls. So, please add in. But when I order my pictures, I do my favorite 5 pictures first, then I kind of do a tour of the house. So you're not seeing a bunch of just like exterior pictures or a bunch of entry pictures. You're seeing like my 5 favorites, and they're not in any order. They're just like, this is the one I think would sell the most, then this one, then this one, then this one. I do the same thing with my Airbnb listings, and then I take you through the house, if that makes sense.
Well, and Jessica, to that point, when you go on Zillow, they will show the top 5. They will show the first 5 pictures, and then they show all the others below that, right? Kind of, you got to click to see more. And so if you've got your first 5 pictures of every different angle of the outside, that's what shows initially on Zillow when people are scrolling Zillow. So I love having your first 5 favorite pictures, because what did Jessica study to start with? Everybody goes to Zillow for that, to look at houses. And so you want your best 5 pictures to show first and front center on Zillow.
Yeah. And I am using AI to write my listing descriptions too, but I'm going through and modifying it. So like we're all over the word boast and like chef's kitchen and all that stuff. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't have a chef's kitchen in an efficiency apartment. Like, it's just, so go through and do that. But if you're the only one that has a fireplace, or you're the only one that has a basement, or you're the only one that has a 3-car garage, like put that first, and, those, and also like use your keywords. Like if things are coming up, like, I don't know, like Super Bowl time, watch the Super Bowl from this, like, all that helps with the algorithm stuff. So, watch the Super Bowl from my theater, my, my screen porch or whatever. Use trending, words like that. And I'm sure I've not looked up trending words on chat, but I'm sure that they're there. And somebody asked me, about chat, like how to also, treat all your leads, your listing leads, treat them like people. Okay. I don't even like to call them leads. I'm like, I got my people waiting, like treat them like people, because if they feel like people, they're going to list with you. But the, Chat GPT, like talk to it like it's your friend. Like I'm happily married and my husband's great, but I call my chat is my boyfriend Chaz. And, so like when you're doing your 8-week marketing plan, like if you're typing it in there, say, make me an 8-week marketing plan for this address at this price point, keeping in mind who my ideal buyer would be, and make it impressive to my seller. Like just be super specific, and it will do it. It will bullet point it for you. So it does, it does a lot of cool things as far as that goes, you know. But my week one, it looks like my professional photos. It looks like I'm listing on a Thursday. I don't do coming soons. I want it to go out to the whole place all at once. I am doing one coming soon because it's under construction, but and I don't want to miss because it's in a really good school district and I don't want to miss people looking to get in that school district right now. But I very, very rarely do coming soons. So we list on Thursday. Professional pictures, I try to do a whole week ahead of time so that I can get postcards out and things like that for my open house. So my week one looks like getting the house prepped. It looks like you're going through the pre-inspection checklist, you, the client, unless you need my help. We're going to do the walk through. So I make it very apparent to my clients, like all the times I'm coming to their house, I'm coming for the listing appointment. Now I'm coming to do the pre-walk. We're doing the professional pictures, and then we're going to list on a Thursday. It's part of our strategy. We're going to get the postcards out, and we are going to market to these different groups. My VA is sending out all of these posts. She's doing a post every day or 3 days a week for you. And then next week is all about the open house, getting the open house invites out, getting the signs in the yards, you know, putting up my 24 to 40 signs. Like, people like to know you're working for them. So let them know every little thing you're doing. Hey, we posted today. We posted on, you know, all of this. We've had so many views on your videos, all of that. And then also your weekly updates are super important. So my weekly updates look like this. You might want to take notes. I pull the stats from the MLS on how many views. So our MLS tells us how many views it's had on Zillow and all that stuff. So I pull that. I show the recently solds. I show what's gone under contract. I show the price reductions in the neighborhood. I put what the square footage is, that the average square footage that has sold, that's under contract and that's listed, and their square footage price. And then I put any suggestions based on the data. This is, I think, where, you know, how many showings have we had, things like that, and their feedback. Even though they've already seen the feedback, I put it in there again. And this is how many showings we've had. I think we're under target. I think we're on target. I think that these are our next steps. You tell me which way you want to go. And you do that every single week. And I try to do it on Mondays. That way they know that we're on top of it. We're trying to move it. And this is what we're seeing. And then I say, here's what we've done. Here are my next steps. I follow that 8-week marketing plan. This is what we've done. Here's what's next.
Jessica, what was, so I'm writing this down, stats from the
Sure.
MLS, recent sold, and what was the next one?
So stats from the MLS, recently sold, active list, or yeah, any new listings, active listings, and under contracts. And the under contracts is the most important part because that's your competition. And if they're going under contract and you're not, then that's what they need to watch for.
So are you putting that in a text or email form?
Email.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually sometimes I have my my VA I have it in a spreadsheet for me, and my VA can go and pull the stats from the MLS for that. So I do it in a shared Google sheet, and she'll pull the stats, turn it into a PDF, and then put it into the spreadsheet for me. And then I go and put it in the email, and then I double check the you know, I'll add in the under contracts and the actives and things like that. Or she can, but I have to double check it. So I don't recommend that your VA do that unless you're just like on vacation, or you know what I mean? Like, if we all get stretched, it's like, it's either, you know, 80% done by somebody else is better than, you know, is 100% awesome in some cases. So like, my VA has done it before, but it's not exactly the way that I would have done it, but at least it's something getting out to your clients. Like, this is kind of where we're at. But if you can get in there and do it, and I really do try to be the one that does that part, but the spreadsheet helps me because it's all in one place, and it makes it seem easier for me than, you know, because I can kind of go through and do all the stats at once. I can do all the actives at once. And it just keeps me more organized. But I try to do it by Monday, but Thursday by the latest. But the problem is, if you do it on Thursday and then you do it again on Monday, it's too close together. And it is okay to do it every other week. So like last winter,
when nothing was moving at all, then I was doing it every other week because it was just depressing.
Well, Jessica, we have gone over, but this has been amazing. So thank you so much for staying, and for all of you guys for staying longer. We normally just try to keep these to an hour, but a lot of good discussion. So listen, guys, come tomorrow, same time, same link, and let's mastermind even more around these ideas and you know, any other things that you have. You know, tomorrow's our Connect to Collaborate, so we can talk about, you know, more on this topic and just kind of mastermind amongst everybody, or anything else that you want to talk about tomorrow. So that you may be wanting some help or guidance with, or come share some awesome stories that are happening for you and your business. Love to hear those too. So Jessica, again, thank you so much. Such good stuff. Appreciate you so much.